Good morning, dears. Today we are going to deal with the next topic, that is respiration. In the last session, we had discussed about the nutrition, and we came to know that the food that we eat are utilized for releasing of energy by our cell. So in the last session, in detail we have discussed how the food is being digested and how it is being converted into simpler molecules. And we found that, I'm just brushing up the last topic, we found that after the complete digestion that is happened in the small intestine, the carbohydrate will be converted to glucose, proteins are being converted to amino acids, and fats are being converted to fatty acids and glycerol. So from all these nutrients we have to get energy. So typically glucose is being used to release the energy. So you know that diverse organisms utilizes different kinds of methods in order to release the energy from the glucose molecule. So some need oxygen to release energy from glucose, some may not need oxygen. So in this chapter, not in this chapter, in this topic we are going to deal how different organisms are utilizing this glucose molecule to release energy. Okay. I told that some organisms need oxygen to release energy, some may not need. So in all these cases, the first and foremost thing is that conversion or breaking up of glucose molecule into a simpler molecule, that is pyruvate. You came to know that glucose is a 6 carbon molecule, that is C6H12O6, right? So it's a 6 carbon molecule. So the first step in all cases is the breakdown of this 6 carbon molecule, that is glucose, into a 3 carbon molecule, that is pyruvate. That is a 3 carbon molecule. So that is the first step happening, and this is being happened in the cytoplasm of the cell. You all know that what is cytoplasm. It's a component of our cell, right? So the first step is a conversion of glucose into pyruvate. It is being happening in the cytoplasm. Okay, now we are going to see several pathways, and the first thing is that in case of yeast, fermentation is being happening. So in yeast where fermentation is happening, this now action is being always will be happening with the pyruvate. Glucose is converted. So in every cases pyruvate will be the first molecule. Okay, so this pyruvate in the case of yeast, it's a 3 carbon compound, will be converted to ethanol plus energy. Clear? So energy is released. Energy is released. In the case of yeast where fermentation is being happening, pyruvate will be converted to ethanol and energy. Okay, so this is being happening in the absence of oxygen. Clear? Fermentation you have studied in the lower class, they are being happening in the absence of oxygen. Okay, so since this is happening in the absence of oxygen, this type of respiration is known as anaerobic respiration. Anaerobic respiration. Clear? Anaerobic respiration is the respiration that is happening in the absence of oxygen. Example, yeast fermentation. Clear? Okay. Now we are going to see the next pathway. Again, this pyruvate. Pyruvate in presence of oxygen, it will be converted to carbon dioxide plus energy along with water. Okay, this is happening in presence of oxygen. So pyruvate will be converted to carbon dioxide plus energy plus water in presence of oxygen. So this is termed as aerobic respiration. Since it is happening in presence of oxygen, it is termed as aerobic respiration. Is that clear? So this is happening inside the mitochondria. Clear? Conversion of glucose to pyruvate is happening in the cytoplasm. Conversion of pyruvate to carbon dioxide to release energy along with water in presence of oxygen, that is aerobic respiration, is happening in mitochondria. Anaerobic respiration is happening in yeast. Clear? So right now we discussed the two pathways, that is aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Sometimes certain situations are happening when there is some lack of oxygen is happening. So in that case, another type of pathway is being conducted to release energy. So that is happening in our muscle cells. So we are going to see how it is being happening. So the pyruvate will be converted to lactic acid along with the release of energy. That is happening in our muscle cells when there is lack of oxygen is experienced. Clear? When there is lack of oxygen is experienced, pyruvate will be converted to lactic acid and energy in our muscle cells. Clear? So we discussed three types of breakdown of glucose or pyruvate in three different ways. Clear? So as a flow chart or as a diagrammatic representation, we can discuss the breakdown of glucose in different pathways. Clear? So how it is being happening, we can see that. First one, we glucose, you have to write like this, it's a 6 carbon compound. First of all, it will be converted to pyruvate, where it is happening in the cytoplasm of our cell. Okay, it's a 3 carbon compound. Now the changes is being happening to pyruvate. Now what is being happening? In the absence of oxygen, how pyruvate is converted? Pyruvate is converted to ethanol plus carbon dioxide. Clear? Now, presence of oxygen, it is happening in mitochondria, right? So this is happening in So in presence of oxygen, that is in aerobic respiration, it results in the formation of carbon dioxide plus energy. Clear? And one more pathway is there, that is happening due to lack of oxygen, that is happening in our muscle cells. Clear? Muscle cells. Then what is happening there? It results in the formation of lactic acid plus energy. Clear? See, this build-up of lactic acid in our muscle cells will result in muscle cramps and all. Clear? So, the energy released in all these pathways are soon utilized to synthesize ATP. You know what is ATP, right? Adenosine triphosphate, ATP. So this ATP is the fuel for the cell to perform various activities that is happening in our cell, for the metabolic activities. Clear? So you have to study this breakdown of glucose in different pathways. It's very important. Along with this, you have to study the flow chart what is being given. You have to write the notes over there along with this flow chart. Clear? Okay. So we are moving to the next topic. So here, before going to that, I will once again tell that here we found that two types of respirations are there: aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration is being happening in presence of oxygen. Anaerobic respiration is happening in the absence of oxygen. End products are different. Aerobic respiration end product is carbon dioxide and energy. In anaerobic respiration, the end products are ethanol and carbon dioxide. And one more point you have to take into concern, that the release of energy will be more in aerobic respiration than that of anaerobic respiration. Clear? Aerobic respiration energy will be released more when compared to that of anaerobic respiration. Clear? If ever distinguish between aerobic and anaerobic respiration question is asked, I think the point is clear to you. Clear? Okay. Meanwhile, I told you the formation of lactic acid in our muscle cells will cause us muscle cramps. What is that actually, muscle cramps? See, when someone runs, he will be experiencing some kind of throbbing pain in the legs. You all might have experienced that when you are having sports and all. We all will be having, after that, running and skipping and jumping and all, we'll be having some muscle pain. So what is actually happening in that situations? See, when we are running, our cell will demand more energy. So our cell will not be able to supply that demanded energy. So what will happen? So lack of oxygen will be experienced by the cell to release more energy. So in that condition, muscle cells would start to release energy by producing lactic acid by the breakdown of this pyruvate. Clear? Even though the source of oxygen is less, muscle cells will break down the pyruvate into lactic acid and to release energy, and they will release energy. Clear? So energy will be produced for our strenuous action, for that running or jumping or whatever things we are doing, but along with that energy, lactic acid also will be produced. So that lactic acid deposition in our muscle cells will result that throbbing pain, that is biologically known as muscle cramps. Clear? Muscle cramps. And you all know that we all experiences this, and you all know that after 2 to 3 days it will be get rid of. How it is being getting rid of? We usually after a sports day and all, we usually take a hot bath and all. After that a hot bath and all, we feel some sort of relaxation, right? So what is happening there? Due to that, more blood supply will be there in this cramp region. So if there is more blood supply, more oxygen will be supplied, and that can break down the cramps. Clear? Clear. So question may ask how the lactic acid deposition causes the formation of muscle cramps. So you can, I hope you can answer that, right? So we are moving to the next topic. Exchange of gases. So for aerobic respiration, there should be a continuous supply of oxygen and also release of carbon dioxide. Clear? So all these respiration meet at a point that exchange of gases are being happening there. So in different organisms, variety of organisms are there, so different kinds of exchange is being happening. Clear? So we can consider one thing, that is you might have heard this, diffusion. Clear? So what is diffusion? Diffusion. Diffusion is happening the movement of molecules from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration, right? Diffusion. So diffusion is a means of exchange of gases, especially in the unicellular organisms and also simple organism. Simple organism in the sense that they will not be having much organs for the complex metabolic activities. So in such organisms, this diffusion is enough and more for the exchange of gases. Clear? In the case of plants also, they use this diffusion mechanism for the exchange of gases. So what is the main area where the plants exchange gases? That is stomata, right? Stomata are the tiny pores that are present under the leaf, and through these stomata they exchange gases, that is typically carbon dioxide and oxygen. Okay, so by this diffusion, plants can exchange the carbon dioxide and oxygen. Okay, by this process, the carbon dioxide and oxygen are getting into the cell and getting away from the cell. Another point which has to be kept in our mind is that diffusion is depending upon the environmental conditions and also the requirements of the plant. Clear? Diffusion depends upon the environmental conditions and also the requirements of the plant. So how it is being dealing, how it is meeting the requirements of plants? That is, you can imagine the photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is happening in the presence of light only. That means in the daytime only this photosynthesis can occur. So what about at night? There will be no photosynthesis. There can be no photosynthesis because no light is there. So no photosynthesis is there. So during photosynthesis only the oxygen is being released. Clear? Now there will be at night, since no photosynthesis, carbon dioxide is also eliminated out by respiration. You know that plants also respire as we respire. What is the end product? The residue we are exhaling out, it's carbon dioxide. Similarly, plants also exhale out the carbon dioxide. Actually, during daytime, this carbon dioxide is being taken up during photosynthesis in daytime. Clear? So there will be no carbon dioxide eliminated during daytime. Only oxygen will be released due to the photosynthesis. Clear? At night, no photosynthesis is there. So only respiration process is being taken out. So they will intake oxygen and release carbon dioxide. Clear? Is that clear? So what is happening during daytime? Photosynthesis is there. This carbon dioxide will be again utilized by the plants and only oxygen is being eliminated. Is that clear? Only oxygen will be eliminated during daytime, and at night time carbon dioxide will be eliminated. Clear? That is in the case of plants. Then what about the terrestrial animals? How the exchange of gases? They are inhaling atmospheric oxygen and exhaling carbon dioxide back to the atmosphere itself. Then what about the aquatic organism, especially the fishes and all aquatic organism? Aquatic organism, fishes, for example, they inhale oxygen what is dissolved in water. Clear? Dissolved oxygen. So when we are comparing, the dissolved oxygen concentration or the content of dissolved oxygen will be much less when we are comparing to that of atmospheric oxygen. Clear? So the breathing rate of aquatic organisms will be more than that of the terrestrial animals. Isn't it? They should have more oxygen, since the content of dissolved oxygen in the water will be much less. They should have more breathing rate than that of our terrestrial animals. Clear? So you might have seen in aquarium itself, when many of you will be having aquariums at home. So you might have seen that the fishes are frequently opening their gill slits and their mouth to grab more oxygen. Clear? It's a familiar scene we are seeing in our regular life. So the fishes takes up the dissolved oxygen and it is going to the gills where the exchange is happening. Clear? Where the exchange is happening. When coming to higher organisms and all, we can see that for the exchange of gases, some delicate fine organs are present which are protected inside our body. Clear? So you all know that the respiratory organ in human beings is the lungs. Clear? So today we'll be going in detail to the human respiratory system. All these things are all these things you have studied in 7th standard, just brushing up that. Okay. So we can go to the human respiratory system. Okay, the human respiratory system starts with nose, nostrils, then larynx, trachea, let it be like this, bronchus, then bronchioles, then to alveoli or alveolus, the singular form. So this is the pathway of the human respiratory system. So in detail we are going to see how the air is passed and how the exchange of gases is done. Clear? So the exchange of gases are done in the alveoli. Clear? You all know that things. So in detail we are going to see that. So for your more information, a rough figure I am drawing here. Don't draw the rough figure that I am drawing in this portion in your notebook. You may go for the picture that is depicted in your textbook. That figure should be drawn in your notebook and also for the exam. So I told that we are starting with nose. Then nose, nostrils, then larynx, then trachea, bronchus, bronchioles, alveoli. Clear? Dears, this is a very quiet rough figure. Don't go for this. This is for your further understanding. Clear? So inside the lungs only the bronchus are getting branched to bronchioles and finally ending up to the alveoli. That you are understanding. Clear? So we can start with nose. So the air is entering to the nose and you can feel that two holes are present in our nose and that counts for the nostrils. And our nostrils are being fledged with hairs and also a mucus is present in our nose. So this is meant for filtering the air that we inhale. We inhale atmospheric air which may consist of many microorganisms and disease causing organisms that are the pathogens, right? So that is being filtered by the hairs present in our nostrils along with the mucus. So after inhaling or after reaching the nostrils, after the filtration is over, the air will be warm, moist, and the warm moist air will be directed to larynx and from the larynx it is directed to trachea. The other name of trachea is known as windpipe. Clear? So you might have seen certain rings here. These are the rings of cartilage. Rings of cartilage. So they are present all over the trachea so as to avoid the collapse of trachea during the air passage. Okay, that means they would avoid the friction also. Otherwise it will collapse, our organ may collapse. So a typical example that is being seen in our daily life, you can see that the pipe in our washing machine that lets out the drained water, that lets out the water drain, you might have seen that it's similar to this with lot of rings. We can stretch it and when we take our hands, it will come over to the original position, isn't it? So it have an property to stretch. Why? If there is more if that water is more in quantity, that pipe should accommodate that without collapsing or breaking. So to enhance that, this property is being done in that washing machine pipe. You might have seen that. Similarly, when more air is needed, we will be breathing large. So at that time and all, there should be no collapse, no friction. So for that instance, this rings of cartilage will help for that. There will be no such issues. Clear? So after that, trachea is being branching into bronchus. Clear? Trachea is being branching into bronchus. This bronchus, upon entering to the lungs only, they are breaking down to small finer branches, that is known as the bronchioles. Bronchioles will end up in a balloon like air sac, that is known as the alveoli. Is that clear? Clear? So don't have a confusion with bronchus and bronchioles. Bronchus is coming first, then bronchioles. See, one tip to remember or to avoid this confusion means bronchioles, little more spelling is there when compared to bronchus, and to that we can connect branches. Many branches are there. So this branches, many are there. So many branches will constitute little more spelling. That counts for the bronchioles. Clear? So bronchus and bronchioles. Bronchioles are the branches. Many branches will be there. So relate it with it will be having more spellings. Like that only you can improve your memory. And you have to write and study all these terms. Clear? Okay. So from here itself you can see that each lung will consist of millions of alveoli sac, and this alveoli sac act as the exchange medium for the gases. Clear? This is the respiratory system. So the nasal cavity, I hope you can see that. Nasal cavity, nose hairs, then larynx. This is the trachea. Trachea will be branching into the bronchi. Bronchi will be branching into several bronchioles upon entering into the lungs, and several see, this is the site of exchange, gas exchange, that is the alveoli. Several balloon-like structures are present, and they are quite delicate in structure and filled with blood capillaries so as to increase the exchange of gases. So the oxygen that is being inhaled through the air that we take from the nose, it will reach to the lungs through the alveoli, and the blood from the different parts of the body will collect the carbon dioxide. Different parts of the body blood will be having carbon dioxide, and that will be collected to the alveoli. So we inhaled oxygen will be there in the alveoli, and the blood will bring the carbon dioxide from different parts of the body. They get exchanged from the alveoli, and we exhale the carbon dioxide that is given by the blood, and the oxygen from the alveoli will be given to the blood, and that blood will carry that oxygen to different parts of the body. I hope this is clear. So this is the structure of lungs. So all these figures are given in your textbook. You have to draw that in detail. Okay, so you know that how we are inhaling, isn't it? When we keep our hand on our chest, and when we breathe, we can feel that our chest cavity is being rising by flattening our diaphragm and enlarging our ribs. The opposite is being happening in our exhalation. All these things we have studied in 7th standard. Okay, and one more thing we have to take into account that during breathing, in each breathing cycle, some sort of residual volume will be present in our lungs. When we are exhaling, complete gases are not being exhaled out. Some sort of oxygen and carbon dioxide will be present in our lungs to ensure the complete exchange of gases. Is that clear? So we are winding up with this. One more thing is that in complex organism, only this diffusion cannot diffusion alone cannot take up this respiratory process. So in the case of human beings and all, certain pigments are also helping in this respiration, and you all know that that pigment is hemoglobin, which is present in our blood. They are having high affinity towards oxygen, so they take up the oxygen that we inhale, and they are also known as a respiratory pigment. Clear? So today we completed the topic respiration. I hope it's quite clear to you, and if you are having any doubt, please contact me. Thank you.